Ladies and gentlemen, grab onto your plushies and get your drinks. It's another session of Oz Radio with tonight's special guest star in this corner, Leon Hunter! Yarr!
Arr. Hiya.
Oh, yes, and not to forget my co-star, Dr. Wheatley.
Yeah, I'm here too.
Awesome introduction. How very unflattering.
It is quite good. The only problem is that you haven't actually given him an opponent to fight against. Unless, like that guy on Monty Python, you intend for him to actually fight himself.
That I would like to see, just for that, just for the humility of it, because that would be awesome funny. Leon Hunter versus R.
Who is R?
R is just he's referring to a retake on my name because it's Leon Hunter. It quite often finds its way changed to Leon Hunter.
I see.
Yeah, it's a funny take on Leon's name, but Leon doesn't need no other competitor. Leon's Leon. Enough said. Well, in some regards, yes. Anyway, this week's special guest is Leon, who is kindly agreed to come on our show again, so welcome back to the Insanity.
Thank you.
And this week, Leon brings with him all the juicy news. So we're going to quash the rumours tonight and put an end to speculations. Leon is here in person himself, so there can be no. Oh well, Leon didn't say. Leon's here to say so himself about the crate system tonight. With the.
Yeah, about that.
We will get to that a little later in the show, but first we'll bring up the news and...
yes, we'll start off the news for all of you folks out there who have been wondering just what the dickens have been going on and why, when you've been playing Team Fortress 2, you've suddenly found yourself receiving goldfish instead of receiving a new axe. So, first bit of news, and probably the biggest piece of news for at least the next couple of weeks. There has been a rather intense mystery. In case you have been living under a rock, or in case your drop system is broken, there's a rather intense mystery going on in the world of Team Fortress 2. It started when people started receiving goldfish and barn door planks and pocket lint and other such things into their inventories, all bearing very mysterious item descriptions. This alone would have been enough to prompt a massive conspiracy, but then, if you were playing the game and you happen to equip the medic's mystery-solving kit, which has up till now just been a nice little joke set, if you equip that set and then view the items, it gave you a new description for them. And if you combined them all together, it created a quote from Sherlock Holmes. Now, this certainly piqued the interest of many folks. Then, moving right along from that, if you could craft two of the banana peels together, if you happen to have a pair of them, it generated a Welsh error code. And if you took that code and submitted it to a certain website that was being compiled by certain more tech-savvy folks than myself, they started putting them together and generating codes to create those little pictures that you see that you can scan with your phone if you're one of those people who has phones that scan pictures. And what they did was, combining them together, created links to pictures which were parts of a longer script, which has basically implied that Saxton Hale is being investigated for the kidnapping of Poopy Joe and stealing a large supply of the US's Australium. Now, just when everybody was beginning to bubble over and wonder what was going on, especially considering that today's date was included on the description for the capacitor, which was one of the final items, today, a blog post was posted by the Pyro. When translated into Morse code and then back into English, spells out the word Monday, indicating that next week and all manner of exciting and wonderful things are going to hit the fan, and in all probability, meet the Pyro. Which
Yay!
Absolutely, and it's certainly helped out by the fact that Adult Swim, of all places and channels, is actually announcing that it's going to be teaming up with Valve for something. And I gotta be honest, if it was an Adult Swim announcement that Meet the Pyro or anything to do with Team Fortress or even Valve in general was going to be played on public television, I for one would count that as a victory for good taste.
For the viewers, you might just want to advise of what Adult Swim is, since the name's a little bit deceptive.
Yes, true. Adult Swim is not a dirty website, nor will going to the official Adult Swim website result in you getting bad looks from your parents. Basically, Adult Swim is a time slot on a comedy channel, and most of the things you will find, like, Robot Chicken or Family Guy and such things, usually fall under the heading of Adult Swim. If you have that channel, if you have that station. There's nothing seedy or bad about it beyond the fact that you are almost certain to hear the voice of Seth Green at some point if you tune in to Adult Swim.
Funny guy.
It's also strange, isn't that? How he plays a red-headed bloke in Austin Powers, and every other Scot that you really see, with the exception possibly of Scott Pilgrim, is a nerdy red-headed fellow. Like the guy from South Park. Nerdy red-headed fellow. I knew a bloke who went to my school, who had red hair, whose name was Scott. Very nerdy fellow. Is it a conspiracy? I don't know. Maybe it's all part of the ARG.
Speaking of South Park, I do have to bring this up now you brought up the fact of South Park. We'll probably get to this a little later, but Leon posted something in the forums the other day where people were kind of, like, that the post specifically said, we want feedback, not ramble, 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 ramble. So we got a scene from South Park where there was this big crowd going, ramble, 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 ramble. And this lady said, is that all you can do? And they're like, yeah, ramble, 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 ramble. And it just made me drop dead laughing. I almost fell out of my seat looking at that.
Oh, dear. Good times indeed.
What prompted the ramble, 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 ramble? Like, there was 100 funny clips you could have put on. Why that one?
Mainly because I watch a fair amount of South Park, and I actually remember most of the funny stuff, whether it be the Great Shitty Wall or the Jesus guy going around kidnapping all the kids. Well, the guy pretending to be Jesus, running around kidnapping all the kids. No, it just came to mind since I'm reading this thread and people are responding to each other's posts rather than responding to the feedback. And it's exactly what I didn't want from feedback. So, yeah, I'm an infinite resource of videos and quotes to describe any situation. I hold office hours 7 days a week if you want some.
Yeah, sure, I'll place an order next Tuesday. I need a few quotes like that, yeah.
Oh, dear.
Anyway, this next news is also yours. Go ahead.
Yep, I'll make this one very quick because chances are you already know this by now if you play the game in question. The Binding of Isaac has received yet another update, completely free, which adds yet more items, more bosses, and another ending. And if you can believe it, another level after the final level, which came after the final level. To say that this game has become ridiculously challenging would be an understatement, but I personally love every second of it.
And the reason why you're late to the podcast tonight is because you just finished it now.
Well, I say finished it. What I actually meant was died horribly against the final boss.
Ah, so it's killing you. You wish you could go back and do that now instead of doing the podcast with us.
Oh, Lord, no. I'd quite prefer to be doing the podcast, to be perfectly honest. It gives me a chance to calm down before I go back and kick myself in the teeth later.
Oh, can I have a photo of that, please? Please.
Trust me when I say that I am not referring to what you think I'm referring to.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And the last bit of news I'm sure you're all aware of, and it's the main reason why most of you are tuning in this week. A little later on at the Mad Chatters table session, we're going to have Leon himself clear all the fog, all the steam, and he's going to fully explain to us the crate system and what it all means for you later on.
Hooray!
Hooray! Oh, come on, you can be more enthusiastic than that, boss.
Like I said, I only woke up about an hour ago. So come on, give me a break.
That's right, it's morning for you, isn't it?
Well, I mean, once the TF2 announced, I was working on the servers and the Netherlands servers. Oh, did I say that out loud? And I haven't even announced them yet. But the astute observer would know that there are Netherlands servers and they're probably going to get launched soon. But no, once the Team Fortress announcement came out, I pretty much made the judgment call, okay, I'm going to stick around for a little bit just to see what happens and see what people were saying. And before I knew it was 11 a.m. and it's like, oh, right, look, time to go to bed.
Yeah, that tends to happen a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Alright. Moving right along, this week's YouTube picks. Wheatley, you can go first this week.
Yay,
since you always make me go first.
And now I can actually double check my link to see what I actually put in for... Oh, that's right. Yes. Here's my suggestion to you, if you're watching this. If you went out to the movies and you saw Prometheus and you thought it was good, do not. watch the YouTube link that I've provided for you this week, because it will destroy the movie for you. If, on the other hand, like me, you had maybe one or two tiny questions about how batshit insane it was, then feel free to give this one a look, because it is utterly hilarious. It will be 4 minutes that will have you rolling in laughter by the end of it. Absolutely top-notch. And yes, if the words red letter media mean anything to you, you owe it to yourselves to take a look at this video. How about you, Loopy? What have you got for us this week?
Well, I really wish I could have posted 20 links this week, but I rounded it down to one, as hard as it was. I've been, earlier on TeamSpeak this week, me and a few friends were going through YouTube, and I found this Rabid promotional video of the Rabbids. And we're sitting here, and we're going through video after video of the Rabbids, laughing our pants off at all the stupid thing the Rabbids are doing in all these promotional videos. And so I thought my video this week is a bit of a contage of them together, if you know what I mean. So I was like mushed a whole heap of them together into a fancy little song, and it's got the Rabbids doing everything from, like for example, one Rabbid sees a cow getting abducted by aliens because the Rabbids want to go to the moon. So the UFO comes, abducts the cow, and goes to the moon. So the Rabbid dresses himself up as a cow, thinking he might get abducted.
I must admit, I did get a good chuckle out of that video.
So there's been everything, and the other funny bit that I saw, it wasn't in the link, but you'd probably find it if you click through the similar videos on the side. There's one where the Rabbits go up against the New Zealand football team, and they do their version of the haka, which turns out to be a fancy dance party, and then basically the Kiwi footy team sitting there and they're staring them down like, oi, and the Rabbits bolt off like chickens that they are.
Good times.
So yeah, I'll cover more on that later when I get to the inside gaming, because that's my thing for this week. But yeah, so I think we should move on to the star spotlight. So Leon is our special guest star this week, as you may know. And for those of you that don't know, Leon is the boss, commander, and chief, and anything else that means in charge of Aussie Ferocity. Wait, is it a 3-finger salute or a 4-finger salute?
Yeah, 2-finger salute.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was about to say, is it the 1-finger salute?
I better put my finger down before you say it. Oops.
For those of you who obviously, and this will cover everyone who is not my friend who is here beside me, everyone who can't see, when I said a tin hut just there, both me and my friend saluted to you. So that one's for you there, Leon.
Oh, thank you. I don't even know your friend, but thank you anyway.
Apparently you do, but he prefers to remain anonymous.
He'll probably fill you in later, whoever he is.
It's not Quapple by some chance, is it?
It's not Quapple, trust me. If it was Quapple, I wouldn't be able to keep him so quiet.
That's true. He'll be joining us for the podcast, wouldn't he, whether we like it or not?
Pretty much. Although, to be honest, if Quapple was here, then in all probability, young Insert would also be here, and there would be much talking. So, anyway. Moving right
Michelle
along.
definitely would go over 2 hours at that rate, probably 3.
Anyways.
Moving on. I thought, now, I've been checking the emails. We do have a few, we'll get to the crate stuff later, but there are a few personal questions here, so I thought I'd ask them now since we're at the Star Spotlight section. Sure. And Matt the Mighty has emailed in a few questions. He says, what did you do growing up as a child? He says, like, sports, an instrument, anything?
Instrument, I did do keyboard for a couple of years, but I kind of ditched that because it wasn't particularly what I wanted to do. Sports, I've never been really a sporting person. The most sporty thing I do is, to some extent, distance riding. But that's on an infrequent basis. Usually I'll set out a weekend that I'm going to do this. That way I've got the weekend to recover from the exhaustion, especially during summer. It sucks. But but no, riding along the coastline and that kind of crap is quite fun. Not in the sand, obviously, along tracks. Any idiot who rides a bike in the sand, it deserves to, yeah, we won't go there. But anyway, but no, I've never been really a sporty person. Rather, I was always a kid who was more into the sciences and technology, and when I had free time and I wasn't hanging around with friends, I'd be focusing on sciences and technology in general. So sports never been a huge thing for me in general.
I think we can all relate to that in one sense or another.
Yep, I hear that.
At the end of the day, we're all here.
Exactly. This is why we choose to live our life, and we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, sports. I'm not really into sports. I might watch it occasionally. Aussie rules and tennis, but that's about it.
Oh, you're an aerial ping pong fan? Oh, great.
Oh, yes and no. I think that tennis... No, I'm going to retract that comment. I was about to say tennis is one of the few sports where egotisticalness hasn't completely taken over. And I emphasise the word of completely, but then I realised that Leighton Hewitt plays tennis, so I have to retract the comment.
Let's also not forget that I play tennis.
Oh, yes. Then I completely retract the comment now.
I wouldn't really mind so much. I don't do any kind of competitive tennis playing. For me, it's just a going down on Saturday and slogging the balls around with a few friends.
Yeah.
So all is well.
I suppose my variation is cricket, but then again, I used to play for a club, but these days it's just down the beach with whatever garbage cans we can find for wickets.
Hooray, garbage cans!
Well, when it's summer, that is. We wouldn't do it now. It's too frickin' cold. Ugh.
Tell me about it.
Oh, I will.
Oh, trust me, here's the thing. I'm currently to do this podcast. This is an example of how I'm generously giving my time. Oh yeah, look at me. There's a festival taking place tonight, which actually sounds pretty awesome. But I'm here for you people. Having said that, in all seriousness, it must be incredibly cold. I don't care if it's called the Winter Heat Festival. I don't care if there's fires everywhere and that there's going to be fire spinning and all that other kind of stuff out there. It is too cold to be outside at this time of night.
Oh, yeah. Fire or not.
Yeah.
And to top it off, there's been this all-day carnival, and it's actually going till 10 o'clock tonight. It's like a 10 till 10 thing at the showgrounds, which for me is a few blocks away from where I live. And it's been raining here all day. And anyone who's out there, who's stupid enough to be out there all day, because it's probably like 10 degrees, windy and raining here at the moment.
Yeah. Coldness.
So if you happen to be at the Bundaberg Showgrounds and, well, you're silly enough to be out there and you're listening to this podcast afterwards going, achoo, we told you so. Yep. Anyway, moving along, there's a few more questions here. Matt the Mighty also asked, ever had a girlfriend, or do you currently have one?
I have had a girlfriend, but no, I do not currently have one for reasons that are reasonably well known amongst the community.
Mm-hmm. Gee, I wonder what that could be.
Oh, yeah, I wonder.
Well, to those that can fill those weird parameters and orders, Leon's free and available, ladies.
You hear that? That's the sound of me face-palming.
Exactly, that's why I said it. I know, Leon's probably nowhere near available at the moment, just for some realism.
Yeah, probably never. I wouldn't just say not at the moment, probably never.
You like your freedom too much?
Lizzie, we're going to have a conversation after the show.
I'm only joking, you know that.
Some things about which a gentleman does not joke, sir.
Ah, well, true.
Well, that's
and
true,
to get myself out of safety now, off the topic here, another question: Do you pay Solo for his work on with VHS?
Yes, both directly and indirectly. He has been paid. I'm not going to say how much he's been paid. It's obviously in the 3-figure mark. That's what I'll say. And he's also, as everyone would know, he's run the unusual donation program, of which the proceeds will go to him. And if you have a look at how many unusuals he has, and the average value of those unusuals, or if you're really interested, the actual value, I'm sure he's more than happy with the end result of the work and effort he's put into the mod.
Fairly excellent fellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you have any more questions? That's all the email questions. Do you have any questions for Leon Wheatley?
Leon, do you wear wigs? Will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs?
I think this is a trap.
Actually, no. I'm sure there are maybe 2 people out there who will actually understand what I was referring to there. But in all seriousness, I don't really have anything of significant relevance to ask Leon. Most of the things which I would ever ask him, I just ask him anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Good times.
All right. Well, I think what we'll do is, since everyone's eager and waiting, we'll skip right to the Mad Chow's table, because I don't think, our viewers are probably just going to sit here, screw the Weekly Red, screw the Gamers Inside, let's get to the Mad Chow's table and find out about this frickin' crate system.
Yeah, I think let's actually go along to the crate system and then get the other stuff later on. Because, after all, we've got Leon here, he's conscious, mostly. I think we should take the opportunity while we have it.
Yeah, I might not be conscious in 2 hours' time. Well,
so yeah, while the rarer chance comes up that you are conscious, we're going to take it full opportunity. Anyway, so just to give people a quick rundown, for those of you that have been either not playing on the service for a while or a little bit blind while you're playing on the service, OzFur has this new own crate system out that will be replacing the donator system. To what extent, I'm not fully sure, but Leon will explain that. But the end result is it does equal a fairer chance for all, and it kind of, well, it's more freaking fun, I reckon.
Not to mention the fact that you only have to put in a small monetary commitment if you really want to get something out of it, as opposed to being able to, having to put in large, well, comparatively for most young people, larger sums of money. So if you have maybe $1 or 2 spare, go nuts. But you don't have to throw in like $20 at a time, which I think is going to be much more useful for young folks who don't have nearly as much money.
So every week they'll get 1 or 2 crates.
Yeah, for sure.
Alright, so take it away, Leon. The stage is yours.
So I'm guessing I'm doing a rundown of the system.
Yeah. Well, it's your system.
Okay, well, I suppose I should start out with the current system as it stands before we get on to what's actually happening. At the moment, there are 2 mechanisms in which Aussie Frosty in some way or form accepts donations and people get stuff. The first mechanism is donations, in which you donate a variable amount of money. We give you a bunch of benefits for a variable amount of time. Pretty simple. Mm-hmm. Now, in its current form, that model wasn't very sustainable for us. And sustainability is kind of important since people want Aussie Frosty to be there in a year's time, 2 years' time, 3 years' time. Even if we're not as heavily involved in GF2, because we don't hold an allegiance to a particular game, we just host whatever game servers are popular at the time. But they still want us there. So the current form of that isn't particularly sustainable for us. And the other thing that was wrong with that system is that it was very easy for people to get everything. And in having everything, it kind of exacerbated certain balance issues in the mod. If you've seen the mean combinations thread, you'll know what I'm talking about. And so it was starting to borderline on pay to win. Now, the other system we had in place was unusual donations. Now, unusual donations are donations of unusual hats that go to Solar. They in no way really help the community directly. They help compensate Solar for his time and effort, and that's great, but it wasn't really a community thing. Unusuals are at best hard and expensive to find, especially when Solar has particular tastes. It was kind of a barrier for entry for people who wanted to donate but couldn't really, it was a huge leap between not donating and donating something. I mean, some of those unusual hats are worth anywhere up to $300, if not more.
Indeed.
And the end result of that was that you got access to unusual types, which again, in their current form, having them all is very much a pay-to-win kind of thing. Because you have to keep in mind that there are unusual types that aren't particularly balanced. Razor sharp, bloodthirsty, just to name two of them. They have no downsides. They're pretty much a straight upgrade. And I don't necessarily think it's right in the current system that, what you give should be directly proportionate to what you get. Because that encourages the pay-to-win culture, and that encourages, I'm going to do this just because I know I'm going to get Y. And so we had to get away from both the flaws in the donation system and the flaws in the unusual donation system. And so one day we were joking around on TeamSpeak, and I forget what we were joking about. And then we got on to April Fool's Day jokes and all this kind of thing, and jokes for Ozzy Frosty's birthday, because I think that was what started this.
That was, I do remember this. I actually brought up the topic of, can we do something for Ozzy Frosty's birthday? And then it went from that to jokes, from jokes to, the crate system.
Yeah, I mean, it started out as one huge joke. We were going to go to the effort of making up a crate system for Ozzy Frosty's birthday and then try and announce it like it was a good thing. And it was going to be a parody of Valve. And it's like, yeah, happy birthday, here, have a microtransaction system for you to waste money on. And, we knew that, we thought that it wouldn't go down well, which is why it was a joke, it was funny. And so, after this conversation, we joked about everything to do with Valve's system. The whole wallet thing, and how the minimum deposit amount is $5, so that if you deposit $5, you have money left over there, which makes you want to spend it, which makes you deposit more money. Anyway, moving right along. So after going away, Leon sitting and thinking, and it didn't stick out at first. I knew it was possible to do. I've always known something like that would be possible to do. But it didn't really stick out how good a solution it really was.
Wasn't it when you told the solar things took off a bit?
Well, yeah, it's funny because I was telling Solar, and I half expected Solar to slam the door in my face and say no, but there was a pause for about 5-10 seconds. And then he started suggesting improvements to the system. And then the very next day, he was in uni thinking about it instead of focusing on his lectures. So Solar was, I expected to have to win Solar over and say, this is the way to go. Let's get away from the unusual hats and do this, because at the end of the day, it removes a lot of the inherent problems, and it removes the barrier for entry for people who would like to either donate and get something in return and that kind of thing. And so, it started out very jokingly and unrealistic, and then it started to take form. So the new system as it stands, there will be... Now, I'm using the term crate drop system purely to assist in explaining how it works, because in mechanism-wise, it is very similar to Valve's system, for sure. And so it's just easier if I call it crates and keys. They may not actually be called crates and keys by the time it gets to the public, and I would kind of prefer it not to, purely just for some individuality to some extent.
Tacker boxes.
And to avoid...
Sorry, but I must admit, when you started talking earlier about how you'd been sitting there and pondering to yourself over that idea, and you sit there thinking to yourself, there's a way that I can make this better for all people involved. You know what quotation came to my mind?
I can.
What?
And what happened then? Well, in Whoville, they say, Leon's heart grew 3 sizes that day. And then the true meaning of microtransactions came through, and Leon found the strength of 10 Leons, plus 2.
But, that's good.
Quick,
I like that.
Take a drink. He thought about it, went away, did his research, take a drink.
Oh, dear. Good times were had by all.
So yeah, I mean that was. I covered the old system. I've covered what happened. So the new system, as it stands, it does consist of a crate system, which I will explain about in reasonable detail. Obviously, not mind-blowing detail because it's not the best place for it. And the donation system may actually stick around, but it's going to get some reforms of its own. So, what are you going to find in these crates? Well, as it stands right now, you can find temporary 3 or 5 use passes to specific bosses. And so if you find a triple pass to a boss, that lets you select that boss 3 times. If you have access to that boss, you can actually use the pass to access its ult. Or even if you don't have access to the boss, it actually lets you play the boss or its ult.
Excellent.
So, for example, a free pass use of Applejack will let you use Applejack or Apple Bloom.
Yep, regardless of what access you have.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah. And so, that's the temporary boss passes. There are temporary 3 or 5 use passes to specific unusual types. I think Miasmic is one of those. And that is something that unusual donators haven't been able to get, obviously, for various reasons.
Much to Death's demise?
Not really. Death is actually quite supportive of the idea. He likes the idea of being able to verse his own unusual type, since he's never been able to verse it. But he doesn't want anyone having it on tap, understandably, because it's his unusual type. So temporary passes are a great way of allowing people to, play around with it and have some fun, but not have it forever.
So, pardon my short-term amnesia, but what's going to be happening for those folks who have already been, full-time donators under the previous system?
I'll get to that.
I see.
There will be permanent passes to specific bosses or unusual types. So, you can unbox a permanent pass to this boss or this unusual type, etc. You can get sparkling access to bosses. That'll only work for a particular boss. Versi has been heavily testing the crate system for me. In fact, a lot of moderators have. Which was interesting to see because I didn't actually expect moderators to be so keen on the idea, but I've been corrected. Versi has been religiously spending money on keys and that, and one of the things he did unbox was Sparkling Captain Falcon, and I couldn't help but laugh my arse off when he told me.
The delicious hilarity in that just makes me feel brilliant. I apologize for not laughing my face off already, but I already kind of laughed it off earlier.
Yeah, well, I told you.
I'd also like to point out, Virtue has made sure to include me in every time he's opened a crate. He's literally telling me every time he's like, oh, I got this, I got this, I got this. So I've been there the whole bandwagon with Virtue and his crate unlocking, and he keeps rubbing it in the fact I can't get keys yet. So Virtue, look out. Once I can get keys, I'm going to start owing you back, mate.
So, you can get sparkling access to bosses. It's predetermined what boss you'll get sparkling access to. And in the future, we may even make it so that the way it determines which boss you get sparkling access to is the boss that has the least amount of sparkling access given out. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
And so there's a bit of a balance. There's a nice balance of, at the end of the day, if we're... how many bosses are there? Okay. So if 90 sparklings were given out, every boss would have 3 sparklings in theory.
Have pity on the poor fellow who gets sparkling Saxton Hale.
It never crossed my mind that you could actually get that, but yes, you can get that.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be like the ultimate troll. Someone opens the crate. Congratulations, mate. You've unlocked Saxton Hale. No!
Sorry, I just can't stop laughing.
You okay, Luke?
Actually, it also... I just want, if that actually becomes a thing, if you can get Sparkling Saxton Hale, I want it to come with a JPEG picture of Saxton Hale with a forever alone face.
I'm sorry. This is just too funny.
I'll write that one down.
I have created
Note to yourself. Sparkling Saxton Hale with image. Yeah, well, we can't put an image up on the middle of the screen when you unbox it.
I like where this is going.
But there is a transaction table, so we will actually be able to put up a web interface that actually shows who unboxed what and when.
Is that publicly accessible? Is that for mods and admins only kind of thing?
That will be publicly accessible. So, anyway, moving right along, having too much fun here. There will be prolific passes, which basically mean if you have a temporary pass to a boss, say it's a 3 or 5 use, and you want to extend it, you can use a prolific pass to extend that pass, and it effectively doubles it. So if you get something you really, really like, you can use a prolific pass out of a crate system to extend it.
So if I have 4 goes left of Pinkie Pie, I can have 8 goes of Pinkie Pie now.
Well, yes, but you'd actually have 9, because what it does is it takes the original amount, and doubles it, then takes off what you've used. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so it'll give me 10 if I had a 5 pass, and if I've already used 2, I'd have 8 left.
Yep, bingo. You can get cookies, which will be pretty much, once you've gotten everything, you'll get cookies every time you open a crate.
Delicious cookies.
And for those who don't know, cookies basically push you to the front of the Hale queue and give you a bit of a health buff. And last but not least, you can unblock chat colours. So these are chat colours like my own, if you've seen me or Solar in chat.
Yay!
And they will basically colour your text. The reason we're trying to keep with the reason they're in the crate drop system is because we don't really want a rainbow wall of text. And so it's nice, a few people having it, maybe even a handful, maybe even 2 or 3 per server on average. But we don't want a giant wall of text, so we throw that into the crate. Things we're thinking of adding for those who are curious. We are thinking of adding mimics. We don't entirely know if they will actually make the final version. There are some technical issues with adding mimics, but we'll just have to wait and see. And by mimics, I say the unused ones. I'm not saying, we're just going to run off with people's mimics and put them in crates.
Wipes face nervously.
Yep.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Well, that's a slight comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, it's okay, Wheatley. Don't sweat too much. I'm just dragging out what's going to happen to the donators bit because I know you're sweating about it. The light colours. You may have noticed that when me or Solar or particular people play as the boss, the lights get changed to a particular colour. We'll probably be adding that to the crate, so you'll be able to customise your boss experience. So if you have a fetish for green or whatever colour
Can we get purple?
Can you get purple? Well, as much as I'd like to have a copyright on the colour purple, yes, you can get purple.
Pink, 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 pink.
Yep. Suddenly
yes,
crates became a lot more interesting.
You want to get purple for Headless Horseman, don't you?
Oh, I would like to get purple for Headless Horseman, but purple for everything, mate. I love purple. Purple is like my favourite colour.
Awesome. We're on the same page then.
Yeah. See this? You can't see it, Leon, but I'm holding up my fist towards the screen in a bro fist fashion.
Booyah.
Yay! Yeah! Hypothetical high five, bro.
Travels over the internet well enough. One of the other things we're considering adding to the crate drops are unusual weapons. And you might ask, unusual weapons? And if you've seen me...
Unusual weapons.
Okay, let me explain.
This is going to be good.
If you have seen me on the servers recently, you will notice I've been dicking around with particle effects. In fact, if you saw one of my recent announcements...
Crash.
Yes, I successfully crashed one of the OzFur servers with a swarm of flies.
With a swarm of flies.
You'll love this.
Okay, hold on. That was singular. 200 swarms of flies attached to a sticky bomb.
Oh, gee. Wait, no, I've seen what you did to the bombs.
Yes, you have seen.
I was deeply entertained.
Yeah, everyone was laughing their ass off because I was attaching fly particles to the sticky bombs and then just putting them everywhere, and they looked awesome. And then I sat back and I thought, in my infinite wisdom, what would be better than flies on sticky bombs? And the answer was
200 flies!
More flies. And the first thing that came to mind was our flies will block out the sun. And so I had to put this into practice. So yeah, 200 flies on sticky bombs. I think I got about 5 off, and the server crashed. And it's like, I didn't do it. It the other way.
No, it says the apology notice on the group profile.
Well, you can't make an omelette without killing a few chickens.
Hey.
That's true. But no, if you've seen my latest rendition of weapons, you'll notice the medigun I use has this blue sparkling effect behind the needle as it applies to the air. You'll notice my sticky bombs are, I think it's green plasma, pipes are purple plasma.
I got a question regarding that.
Yeah.
Are we able to, like, you know, the like on Halloween or TF2's birthday, how they have the party box effect where it throws streamers everywhere? Could you do that kind of effect on something?
We can put any kind of particle on any type of weapon. And because it's something that Valve haven't done, we're actually allowed to do it.
So you could put, like, say, one of my favourite things, like Purple Fetty or the party box surprise when you open it on the Mad Milk. So every time my Mad Milk howls like a party.
Yeah, we could. It wouldn't play the sound, but you'd see the effect.
Oh, that would be nice.
Oh.
Yeah.
Don't suppose there's any kind of possibility of... No, actually, that wouldn't work, would it? Have you tried this out? Have you tried putting particle effects on buildings, like dispensers, for example?
No, I haven't, and I don't think it would work.
But that's the thing, because dispensers do give off particle effects, as do teleporters.
Yeah, that's true, but I think that's part of the model itself.
Yeah, probably is. It's a pity. I would really like a mini-sentry with orbiting planets.
Well, what I'm doing is taking projectiles, like the sticky bomb, and then dynamically adding particle effects to them. Now, when you dynamically add a particle effect, it's kind of hard to control where that particle effect will go. So it could go in the middle of the dispenser where no one could see it. It could go on top of the dispenser. You don't know.
Yeah. Makes sense.
And so, yeah, unusual weapons were an interesting concept. They're purely for appearance. And I'm surprised that Valve hasn't done them in their money-making wisdom. Although then again,
I think the reason why they haven't done it is because they know that it would destroy lower-end computers.
Yeah, that's true. Too bad for those people with lower-end computers.
Pretty much.
And the fact that, green plasma sticky bombs are kind of obvious on any surface, which is probably why they haven't done it. But it looks awesome, and that's all that matters to me. So yeah, I am thinking of adding those to the crates in some way or form. If not, they'll be on the website in some way or form. We'll see. The other thing... well, let's jump back a step. So that's basically the crate system. What's in the crates, what may be in the crates when they're released. We're keeping the donation system to some extent. It's getting a little bit of a revamp. And I'm hoping one of the things we can add to it is a benefit that disables those fucking adverts.
Hey, now there's an idea. I like this idea. I like this idea a lot.
Yeah.
And so for those people who hate the adverts, don't get me wrong, I'm human, I hate the adverts too, but necessary evil, they help pay for everything. And at the end of the day, I mean, what is it? Most of them only go for 5-10 seconds. I
will never forget that horrible period of time before John Carter came out. Are you John Carter of Earth? Yes, ma'am, I am. As was I the last 80 times.
Hey.
Yeah. It's sad that I remember that.
Doctor, I want the part of that. I want that memory in my brain surgically removed, please.
But anyway. So yeah, with the donator, it'll probably get a bit more expensive in some regards, because now that we have a really cheap alternative, we need to kind of spread the gap between the cheap alternative, in which you could get unusual types, boss types, and cool shit, and the whole donate this amount and you're guaranteed to get access to blah 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 blah. So we kind of need to lengthen the gap a bit to make that system work. Okay, so what will happen to current donators? This is the question that everyone has been asking. This is the question that everyone's been running around like bloody chickens to answer.
Is that another Scoodler reference?
Yeah, I just got to say, before you explain exactly what's going on, I just want to extend to you personally, Leon, a personal compliment in the form of that link that I just sent you there.
Okay, hold on, I'll have a look.
Oh, please don't tell me.
Awkward silence.
Fair enough.
I won't ask. No, I'm not going to ask.
Please do go on.
Okay. Should I keep the pause? Yeah, I should. Okay, enough teasing, enough dragging it up. Standard donators, as they stand, will probably keep their benefits verbatim for at least 6 months. Okay, so nothing's going to change for 6 months. This is standard donators.
Yeah.
After the 6 months, we will evaluate the circumstances, evaluate of the lifetime population who's still active on the servers, and evaluate what kind of position we're in as a community. Mm-hmm. Based on that evaluation, we will do probably one of 4 things. Probably 1 or 3 things, actually. The first and most obvious one is nothing. At the end of the day, if nothing's broken and if all our changes have had the desired effect we want them to have, we won't have to change anything. Standard donators will keep their shit as it is.
Hurrah!
Option B, and this is one that will be made available from the word go for those people who really want to try out the crate system, is that we will allow donators to convert their donation into, and this won't make sense just yet, but I'm kind of giving away what I'm going to talk about later. They'll be allowed to convert it into their wallet per se.
Indeed.
And then they can use that to buy keys, buy whatever they want. That is also an option for us in 6 months' time, because people have to understand that one of the reasons we're going down this path is we're also trying to simplify our current processes and systems. At the moment, we have a system for everything. We have a system for unusual permissions, a system for donator permissions, a system just for donating. They're all different things. And to be honest, it's a pain in the ass to keep them all working, never alone working in unison. Even if I was a conductor with 8 limbs, it would still be pretty hard. And so the great thing about this new system is that points for benefits, which I haven't even talked about yet, but I'll briefly cover. Points for benefits is coming in. Basically, you earn points by playing on the servers. The playtime is then tallied up on a daily basis. The top player gets 50 points, the bottom player gets 0 points, and basically it figures out where you are in that range, and it adds it to your forum points, and then you can use those points to purchase shit, which I'm not going to cover in this episode. It's an episode of its own down the track.
So basically it's something along the lines of the more you play on the servers, the more points you rack up, and then potentially the more stuff you can get for yourself.
Bingo.
Brilliant.
We could have made it performance-based, but I don't really like that. I'm going to be blunt for a second. There are people in our community who add a lot of value to the community just by playing on the servers, but to be honest, they're shit at TF2. And I wanted them to be able to get something. And if it was performance-based, I don't think it would be fair. I don't think just because you get a stick, you deserve the best stuff.
Plus, let's face it, the people who tend to do the best, the utter tryhards, just are the ones who make it really unfun for everyone else. And by rewarding their unfun tryhardingness, you're basically encouraging them to keep on doing it.
Pretty much.
And that's a message for all you tryhards out there. If you realize that your team is completely curb-stomping and no one's having fun, calm down. The world doesn't revolve around you. It revolves around me. Moving right along.
So yeah, that's the points for benefits. Let's not go on a tangent here.
Indeed.
Have a shocking habit of doing that. So yeah, standard donators will either keep their stuff as is. So for 6 months you're keeping it as is. At the end of 6 months you'll either keep it as is. It may get converted into the wallet system purely because it allows us then to ditch the old system. And if we do that, we'll overcompensate, I guarantee it. And that's pretty much the 2 options. I don't think, there's only really 2 options. We'll either keep it as it is or convert it into your wallet, either or. Your call. With the unusual donators, they'll keep their access indefinitely. That is not going to change, and that's not going to change for several reasons. It's a bit hard for us to convert hats into something else.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
It's a bit hard for us to kind of compensate for that in a reasonable manner. However, one of the suggestions I have been thinking about, and one of the suggestions that is probably going to come in the not too distant future, is a selection penalty. Mm-hmm. The name basically says it. At the moment, there is no penalty to actually choosing a boss or choosing an unusual type over getting it randomly. And I don't think that's necessarily right. At the end of the day, if you have the freedom of choice, it should be a matter of choice, not a matter to win, if you get what I understand.
Yep.
Yeah, good. And so basically what I am considering doing, and I'll have to talk to his Solar about the mechanics, is when a Hale selects a boss, or more than likely selects an unusual type, they'll probably take a 25% penalty on rage generation.
I'm not completely sold on that idea. Maybe because let's face it, if they're only doing it like once every now and then, why not make it something like they take a penalty for every repeated time in the next few selections that they keep picking the same boss. So, like, to force them to choose variety and to play as other things instead of just playing as the one boss over and over and over again.
Well,
Because if you punish them for picking a boss, then it essentially negates the whole point of wanting to unlock bosses to pick.
no, it doesn't. And I'll explain why.
Oh.
At the end of the day, you have the ability to choose a boss and a combination of unusual if you have that access. That allows you... Now, who here picks the least optimal boss? Who here picks the least optimal unusual combination? No,
hello, you are talking to somebody who has written articles about how he gimps himself playing the game.
Well, you might be an exception, but
I do it now and then for a bit of fun too.
but unfortunately, the vast majority of people, because they have access to everything, they know how everything works really well. And so they tend to pick the meanest combinations.
Quite
because
true.
at the end of the day, it's really fun smashing people to smithereens. I mean, let's not deny the fact.
No denying that.
I don't know. I've always found it a lot more fun to win if it's a hard-fought victory. Just absolutely crushing people, to me, is just incredibly tedious.
Well, that may be so, but I stand by the point that I do believe there needs to be some kind of offset for the advantage you gain by knowing what you're going to pick. And not just knowing what you're going to pick, but having control over it. There needs to be an offset for that. And right now there isn't an offset. I mean, if I got the percentage of people who actually picked their boss an unusual combination and got the win-loss ratio, I can assure you it would be disproportionate to that of randomly rolled players. And I don't think it's necessarily right. Freedom of choice shouldn't be automatically freedom to win.
Okay, well, in that case, could I make a different suggestion then?
Should.
Okay, could you make it, for those of us who really don't want to play as Hale, for those of us who get the other boss alternatives, like the other bosses to pick, so that we don't have to play Hale, could you include, for those people of us who do have a few other things unlocked, the ability to go random, but not Hale? So that we pick, it randomly picks for us any other boss, so we don't get to pick, but we just don't have to play as Hale.
Yes, I could do that, and that is a very good suggestion, Wheatley.
That I would be perfectly okay with.
That would probably be a good thing. Like as you said, you're still going to keep the donation system in some proportion, aren't you?
Yes.
Maybe that could be one thing you could add to the donation system, like if the ability to have random without hails.
I think that would be the best
very
part
good.
ever.
That would be very, very good. Thank you, Wheatley. You have solved a lot of problems, and your service has been noted. I shall remember you in my will.
Right.
What do you get? A sparkling pitcher?
Spoons! I want spoons.
The other thing I've been trying to make a comment with before Wheatley keeps butting in is with I believe the penalty system is good. I think the penalty should be applied to, like, I'm not too sure in mechanical wise because you're the one with all the stats, but would you reckon it might be a good idea to have those penalties like of the less rage generations apply to unusual picks, not just Hale? Like, pick Hale, not a problem. Pick an unusual Billy, get a setback.
Unusual abilities already have an inherent setback associated. Just by being an unusual type, you actually take a health penalty if you haven't noticed.
Really? I've never noticed that.
Yeah,
it's really small, which is another thing I would like to change. Like, really, really, I'd like to change that. I'm just thinking. I'd actually like to change the health penalty to something else completely. And that is, well, unusual abilities give you extra passive abilities, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these passive abilities come without a price.
Yeah, like Bloodthirst and Razor Sharp, you said earlier.
Yeah, those are two great examples. Where there is a passive ability that does not come without a price, that does come without a price, getting my words mixed up here, what I would seriously consider is something along the lines of, okay, you can have those increased passive abilities, but your active ability, i.e. your rage, is nerfed in some way. And I think the best way to do that is for things like Razor Sharp or Bloodthirsty, capping the max rage at 100 versus 200.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That's brutal.
Not really, because at the end of the day, there's not a huge difference between 100 and 200% rage, and it's not capping your rage generation. So it kind of just means that you'll rage a lot more in some respects, but the rage will be shorter bursts and easier to avoid by players.
Interesting.
Normally the 200% rage is like, they normally have extra time on it, or in Dr. Octopus's case, a better chance of hitting the players because it slows everyone down.
Yes, but at the end of the day, if you're, let's say, Chrono Dr. Octopus, or that one would really suck.
For the players, yeah, because you're moving so slow you can hit them anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be some kind of active ability offset, and right now that does not exist. So you'll see on the forums I made a thread with a whole bunch of changes I'd like to make. And these changes largely extend from the fact that I don't really like the balance of the mod in its current form. It doesn't really have a sense of balance. And when I say that, I mean there's balancing mechanisms in it, if you want to call sudden death a balance mechanism. But I don't consider... My definition of balance is basically the person with the most skill should win all the time. Because at the end of the day, I think that's right. Well, not win all the time, but win most of the time. However, in the current system, you know, with Banelings and that kind of thing, I've seen Hales who have played a perfect round go down purely because there was a camping scout and he couldn't find them. I don't think that's...
I despise scouts in that mode. That's pointed at you, Luffy.
I'm not a camping scout,
I know you're not. Although, in all honesty, actually, scouts aren't really the ones who annoy me most of all. They can be incredibly irritating, especially on maps like Farm Feud, where they can just jump from roof to roof. But, no. Scouts, very irritating. There are other classes more irritating, but scouts are very high up on that list. I honestly, if there was a cap on the number of people who could play scouts, like there's a cap on the number of people who could play spy, it would be a better mode.
Funny you should mention that, Leon.
What?
I said funny he should mention the cap on scouts, eh?
Yeah, funny that.
Much to my demise.
Is there going to be a cap on scouts?
Unfortunately.
That makes me very happy. Very happy.
Oh, shut up, Wheatley. I don't want to hear it.
But it's so good.
Okay. One of the suggestions I have put forward is a cap on scouts. And that works in conjunction with another suggestion I have made, which we're going on a tangent here, but it's fine. We got time. I've pondered adding in a performance-based queue system. And in essence, that means who's played the original VSH mod recently?
I haven't played the original one, but I did watch a video that somebody sent me of some other version of the Hail mod, which had like weird plugins like heavies regenerate health by shooting with a shotgun, and there's Goomba stomping and all this other weird nonsense. It looked incredibly unfair to the poor Hail, seriously. Like, the heavy could rack up like thousands of hit points. I'm just thinking, this isn't fair. Anyway.
Yeah. Well, essentially what I'm pondering, in the current system, the order you join is the order of which you get to be Hail. And that's it. Very simple, very basic. What I'm thinking is replacing it with a performance-based system where there are queue points. Now, these aren't any kind of other points, these are just queue points. Basically, every round you play, you either get no points if you get Coward, or say below 50 damage. I think it's very easy to get 50 damage. If you can't do that, you suck. You either get...
No, I think in some cases it can be very much not your own fault. Like, for example, if you're playing a medic, you know, heroically and nobly like me, and you heal somebody who is a complete moron, you have no way of knowing that. And if you get killed because your patient is an incompetent boob who can't hit anything, then you're getting punished for the stupidity of others.
Well, in the case of medic, we could add an exception.
That would be delightful. Personally, I just think that medics should be able to earn points just through healing people, you know? Just because it's not fair that they have to rely on other people to take damage, and even then, they only get half the damage that their patient inflicts, when they're the reason their patient is alive.
Yeah. So yeah, you can either get no points if you get, say, less than 50 damage. You could get 1 point if it's between, say, 50 and 600, 650. Or if it's over 650, you'll get 2 points each round. You do that. And the way it determines hail is that basically, okay, it's the start of the round, I'll get the player with the highest number of points, they'll be hail, and then at the end of their turn, their points are set to 0. And so with a performance-based system, those people who don't really damage hail, those people who are friendly, won't progress up the queue at the same rate as those who are actually contributing.
Interesting.
The other advantage of this is that these points would be stored in our database server, which I really need to move to another box, since it's enormously overloaded. So when you leave the server, it says, okay, you've got 17 queue points, I'll put those in a database. When you rejoin the server, it will pull those points out of the database, and you'll be roughly where you were when you left. The huge advantage of this is that, say, on the 30-slot server, you have to stick around for about an hour and a half to get a turn.
Yep.
And so if you can't stay the full hour, if you leave, in the current form, you get nothing to show for it. You don't get a turn as hail, and what you did counts for nothing, really. Whereas in this performance-based queue system, the next time you rejoin the server, you'll pick up from where you left off.
That's a good idea.
And so those people,
a lot.
So those people who can only play, say, for like 15 or 20 minutes will actually eventually get a turn at hail. Whereas in the current system, those people who can only play 20-minute blocks get no turn at hail. And so, yeah, the scout limit is probably designed to work in conjunction with a performance-based queue system that I would like to add in.
I like this, although it does, raise a few questions. Like, for example, you say that performing better will, cause a person to go up the queue faster. All well and good. Does that not hypothetically mean that a person could wind up having multiple turns before other people?
The way it works is, again, those people who get between, say, 50 and, say, 650 damage, those people haven't actually met the quota to actually cover their share of Hail's health. Hail roughly gets about 1,000 health for every player. So you should be doing 1,000 damage every round. If you cannot do 1,000 damage every round, you are letting your team down. And there are some people who do 5,000 damage, 6,000 damage. Brass Beast, Heavy Spy, if you're good at it. And so, yes, those people who get over the 650 mark, I'll put it at 650 because I don't expect people to always cover their share, but I expect them to give it a damn good shot at it.
That's reasonable, I reckon.
And so, those people will get 2 points. That means that, yes, those people who do get over that benchmark will probably get 2 turns for every one that people don't, if you understand what I'm saying.
It makes sense. I think I'll need to think about it a little bit more before I actually give a full comment on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the principle of people who are better getting more turns or getting turns quicker may not be palatable, but at the same time, people don't want to put up with people who can't, people who don't do any damage and all that kind of thing. And there needs to be
From that perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Honestly.
There needs to be a deterrent, and unfortunately, getting cowed isn't much of a deterrent. Boo-hoo, stats, woot, 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 woot. But if it was a performance-based queue system, all of a sudden it's, I'm shooting myself in the foot here because I'm just prolonging my own turn. if I actually contribute to my turn, if I actually contribute to my team, I'll get my turn quicker.
That does make a lot more sense. I like it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, there are going to be some cases where you get cowed and all that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, people usually get cowed at the same rates as each other. And if you're getting cowed more than everyone else, you suck. I mean, I'm just going to be blunt about that.
Mm. I mean, I'll be honest, there's the odd round I get cowed, but that's like few and far between. And
yeah, but everyone gets those rounds, so it evens out.
It's once in a blue moon rounds like that, but like if you're getting it every second round, then well, maybe you should stop hiding behind a corner and how randomly comes behind and finds you.
Yeah. So it's definitely about changing how people go about things and trying to change behaviours, trying to make the system fairer to people who contribute, but also, adding in that offline stuff. So even if you disconnect, even if your computer crashes, you just rejoin. Oh, look, I didn't lose any Q points.
Yeah, there's no rush to be back on in a minute.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that is probably something I would like to implement, and if people support that idea, please let me know. And, we'll go about adding that.
2 hoofs up. So to say.
This is the sound of me with my hand over my face. Rubbing my eyeballs very slowly.
I'll get over it. You know I'm a brony.
I will stab you in the larynx with a spoon.
Okay.
Yeah, good luck with that.
So, quick recap. Since we went on a huge tangent there, standard donators will keep their access verbatim, and I'm saying it again just so the point gets across, for at least 6 months. At the end of 6 months, we'll evaluate what we're going to do. It'll either stay as is, or it will get converted into a wallet funds, of which we will overcompensate, so that's fine. Unusual donators will keep their stuff verbatim indefinitely. It's not going to change at all. But what we may do is add in some kind of selection penalty. And thanks to Wheatley's suggestion, add in a random but not hail option. So
that is an awesome suggestion.
So you actually have the choice between selecting exactly what you want or just selecting random but not hail, in which case you wouldn't incur a selection penalty.
I like where this is going. Nice, delicious variety.
But hail.
So, the other things I should note, this was one thing we joked about at the time. We had this huge joke about having an OzFur wallet, and, the minimum deposit amount would be $5 and all that, and it was a huge joke on TeamSpeak when we were in the joking stage of this change. And, once I sat back and I actually thought about it, for those who don't know, there's actually a really valid reason that Steam have a wallet. Mm-hmm. And that is that PayPal actually charged fees on a per transaction, per fund basis. So what PayPal usually do is there is a base fee for the transaction, and then there's a percentage fee for how much the transaction is, and they add it together. Now, if you have people depositing $1 or $2 here and there, you kind of end up losing more in fees to PayPal versus people who are depositing, say, $5, $10, that kind of thing. So there is a valid reason why they do have a wallet system. So the reason I've explained that is because, and that was in English, we inherently have a wallet system as part of our system. And that's purely because at the end of the day, when we looked at it, it was going to cost us a lot more in fees having people depositing $1 and $2, and it's just, not worth it.
Yeah.
So in other words, the moral of the story is we have a wallet because PayPal is stingy.
I won't say that because I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, you've got to be careful who you sling insults on this show, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, PayPal could be watching enviously.
I'm watching you, Wazowski.
I'm watching you, Wazowski. Always watching.
Oh, shut up. You and
Wheatley does it better.
Oh, yes.
Okay, Now, I know there's a question about this later, so I'm going to kill it off now. The drops. Explaining how the crates drop. Basically, at the moment, in its current form, drops will occur every 3 minutes on the dot. On a per-server basis. What we will change that to is basically 90 divided by the number of players on the server. So in English, if there are 30 players on the server, there will be 3 minutes in between drops. Okay? If there are only 10 players on the server, there will be 9 minutes in between drops. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And basically, when a drop is done, it just randomly selects someone on the server on who gets it. So the number of drops will be directly proportionate to the number of people. So you won't, the player count won't actually affect how quickly you get a crate, no matter what, since the drop rate will adjust to the number of players. One of the other features we have added is a special event feature, similar to the Halloween gift system, where a crate or present, whatever you want to call it, will spawn on map. And if you just run into it, you'll get a free unbox straight away.
Ah, nice.
Is that always going to be on, or just for special occasions?
That will mainly be for special occasions. Maybe when I'm on the server and feeling generous, I don't know. But say OzFur's birthday, any kind of special occasion, special event, maybe one day a week, we might have it on for an hour or so.
I like this new plan.
And again, the drop rate for that will be proportionate to the number of players, and there is an 8-player minimum for that to work.
Alright. Before we finish up on this, we do have a few extra questions that probably haven't been covered yet.
Yep, ask away since I'm done with my rant.
How much is it going to cost to get a key for an OzBox? Would it be compatible to the Manco key or similar, slightly more?
At the moment, it's comparable to a Manco key. It's actually cheaper. It's about $2 a key. We may adjust that down in future, but we're not going to adjust it up. We're happy with starting it off at about $2 a key. We'll probably decrease it to about $1.50. It just depends on logistics and depends on, how things work out.
Alright. The next question's been answered. This one here hasn't. Are the crates that people already have going to be reset when keys are implemented, or the system is otherwise updated?
No.
So if I've currently got 2 crates now, they're never going to disappear.
That is correct. However, I must warn people that due to the inherent way that the client pref system works, if you have pending crates for an excessive period of time, they may be, and you don't join the servers for an excessive period of time, they might be wiped. So basically, if you have 5 crates sitting there and you go on hiatus for 3 months, you might not have those 5 crates when you come back. You'll still have your permissions and all that though, and all your passes, but just not the crates.
Fair enough.
And that's purely because, we deal with over 100,000 players easily, and having 100,000 rows in the database for all this kind of stuff when we don't really need it in there does slow things down to some extent.
Let's see, there's some more questions here. Will there be other ways to get things in OzCrates, for example, paying more by unlocking the item you want?
Possibly. I mean, we've pondered adding, and this goes back to the points for benefits thing that is being launched at the same time. We've pondered adding certain things to the points for benefits store. In other words, you might be able to purchase Guardian access for X amount of points. Will there be everything? No. There will always be things in crates. The vast majority of things in the crates you will not be able to get any other way. What we may do is add the ability to purchase keys using points, but I can forewarn everyone that if we did that, it would be very expensive, and you'd pretty much have to get top time for basically a whole month to unlock a key. or something like that. So it is just simply better off $2, don't get a paper one day.
Yeah, and that makes a lot more sense and is easily more balanced because, the whole point of introducing this crate system is so that you can't just pay to win. And so, being able to just buy the things you want would kind of circumvent the entire point.
Exactly.
All right, well, that's all the questions we have. We are up to about an hour and 20 minutes, so we should see how quick we can wrap the show. Hopefully we won't go over 2 hours this time. Yeah. I'm determined not to.
Well, since this has mainly been, let's be honest, this week it's mainly been for all that stuff, so it's entirely possible that we could just, either do a separate, shorter episode for the, the weekly rant and the Gamer Insight, or we could just, save them for next week.
Yeah, how about we save? Yeah, we will save them for next week.
Yeah.
But I think the last thing we'll do this week is we have a few emails. We do have to read out the emails at least.
Yes, we do.
So I'll take this first one. Like all the questions that were in the emails about the crate system, we've already moved up, so we'll just skip the question on crates. But we have one here from Nang Tang. It says, "Hello, Loopy and Wheatley," and in brackets, and Leon in this case. I'm sure there's already been ungodly torrent of questions for the new OzBox system, flooding Leon's box, but even so, I have 3, which I've already covered. Thanks for your answers that you can give. No, and he says, P.S. Loopy, Scootaloo will never escape my epic frying pan of doom, no matter how hard you try. What?
Oh, God, I'm so glad he brought that up.
Oh, frying pans, that's right, yes.
Oh?
One of the suggestions I put on the forums is to permanently disable the fucking frying pan on all OzFur
I personally am completely in favour of this. Just for
me
the
too.
Record. Yep, I can't wait for that to get done. It's on the to-do list, which is about a mile long, but we'll get it done.
I will be so happy when that day comes.
I believe the next email is for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully he's got it to your standards this week.
Let's see here. Yes, death. Let's see here. Heil dem Geilübdon Führer, quackity quack loopy, and a mighty fine good day to Wheatley. It seems that I seem to be channeling Russian death. I wonder if there's a specific name for that. Oh well. The horse's name was Friday, and hello. I thought that if I wrote this letter in Hebrew, Wheatley couldn't have a go at my terrible English. Then I remembered I don't know Hebrew.
Funnily
enough, I actually know a charming young lady who is going to be playing my Lady Kane, and she is in fact Jewish, so she probably could speak Hebrew. Anyway. Unfortunately, there is not much to talk about. However, I am curious if Professor Wheatley was visited by the Umbrella Man or not. Oh, I hope that he was. A little while ago, I told Wheatley that he did the best version of my voice, and it just came to my attention that I should clarify. Wheatley, you should do the best impersonation of how I wished my voice sounded. Due to being unable to come up with anything good to say, I'm going to skip to my questions. Wheatley, did you receive contact? Yes, I did. But you will have to contact me privately because it would take too long to answer all the questions over the podcast. Leon, I believe we have already asked these questions, so moving along. Loopy, oh, how awful that riddle was. So much so that last week it was the very same riddle I had planned to give you this week. So I've had to bug my family to help me to come up with another riddle. So here goes. A man walks into a bar and asks for a glass of water. The bartender takes out a gun. Immediately the man thanks the bartender and leaves. Why?
Ooh, there could be a number of reasons for that. Keep reading on, I'll think about it for a second.
Yep. With that, I shall leave for the night. With all due respect, Death. Not going to bother messages anymore.
Fair enough. And our last email this week is from Matt the Mighty. Did you want this one, or do you reckon I should read it?
How about this? You do the first sentence, then I'll do the second sentence, and so on and so forth.
Oh, how about we have Leon read it?
Oh, God.
Does this mean you'll actually have to open the Google document?
No, I've got it open. I am prepared. Hello, Chat Matters. Matt the Mighty here. Good to see Leon back on the insanity wagon. I'd like to ask Leon, why do I have a stickied boss suggestion? I'm curious to know. You had a stickied boss suggestion because there was actually one worth looking at in one way or another. And so I wanted to put it at the top of the forum, that way Solar would actually see it. Because most people may not know, but there's hundreds of threads in that forum. And most of them we just take a quick glance at, and, you know, we see one thing that's totally crap and we know the rest is going to be crap. And so I stickied it that way, it was at the top, and, you know, when I go there or when Solar goes there, we can see it. Questions for all of us. Do you have any experience in coding? What language is your most dominant?
No, in Australian.
After you, Leon.
No, after you, Willie.
Very well. Do I have any experience in coding? Yes, but not in the coding that you are expecting me to answer. I have actually been spending the last few days, any of my free time. I have numerous pen pals around the world. I'm one of those rare people who actually still handwrites letters to a lot of people. And recently, I entirely blame Dan Brown for this one. I have been getting into code writing and code breaking a lot. And I have learned numerous different ways to encode messages. So I've been sending coded messages to my friends via letters. And it has been most delightful. As for what language is my most dominant, I would love to just give the default answer of Australian English, but I can't anymore, because Australian English has become such a bastardized language. Everyone's using acronyms and words that are utterly ridiculous, and people who come on the internet and don't know how to speak their own language or use capital letters at the start of a sentence, that I'd like to say, I speak intelligent person. That's going to be the language that I'm the most dominant at. I speak not idiot is the name of my language.
I like this idea. I second the motion. I speak not idiot. Ugh.
Exactly.
Okay, I'll take the more literal meaning here. Do I have any experience in coding? Yes, and yes. What language is my most dominant? Mostly because of OzFur, it's mainly PHP. A lot of the stuff we deal with is in PHP. I've dealt with a few other things, Perl, Python, Ruby on Rails, to name a few. Mainly scripting languages. I tend to find them more useful in my applications. I'm not really making desktop applications, so there's no need for me to know C++ and that kind of crap. So scripting languages are what I mainly know, but certainly PHP. If you're thinking of learning a language and you want to know the basics of variables and all that kind of crap, which might be why you're asking, PHP is a reasonable starting language in the sense that it's very forgiving for bad coding. But if you want a more strict language, one that's a real pain in the bloody ass, do give Python a go. Because Python, you can't even get your indenting wrong or it chucks hissy fits at you. And, you know, it helps you get into good practice. So, yeah. Next question. Do you enjoy fresh lettuce from the local shops?
Actually, yes. I normally, at least 5 times a week, or probably even 4 times a week, I have salad and meat sandwiches. So, yes, I do enjoy fresh lettuce from the shops.
The local shops here do not sell lettuce anymore. We used to have a fruit and vegetable shed down the road from my place until the day that it was burned down, reconstructed, and made into a brothel. So, sadly, no, we do not have a fresh lettuce store around here. However, when we do have to get lettuce is quite nice. Also, I seem to have sent my friend here into a silent, coughing, laughing fit, trying not to make too much noise as he dies from hilarity. So, wonderful.
We can hear you. Feel free to laugh at Wheatley, please. I encourage it.
He's not laughing at me, trust me. I hope he's not laughing at me.
I encourage it. I'll pay you $5 to laugh at him so I can hear you.
I'm sorry, I said, at least I hope he's not laughing at me, and he just kind of silently mouthed the words, I'll get in trouble. Oh, dear.
Tell him I'll pay him $5 if I can hear him laugh at you. And there you go. I'm going to give you $5 later on, whoever you are.
He just fist pumped. Anyway, moving right along. How about you, Leon? Do you enjoy fresh lettuce?
Yes, but usually with salad dressing and that kind of thing. What I love is a nice lasagna when you've got a fresh salad. That is the most gorgeous thing on the planet.
You must be a Garfield fan.
No.
I'm not a Garfield fan, but I still like lasagna.
Lasagna and fresh salad is to die for. Next question. What is the most memorable quote you have heard? Wheatley will have a lot of fun with this, I'm sure.
Funnily enough, although there are many memorable, hilarious quotes, and I could read out many of them, ultimately I just have to go with the one which, as I've said it many a time before, and it's basically become something like my life's motto, which is, a man is least himself. When you talk to him in his own person, give him a mask and he will tell you the truth. Which, while very philosophical and quite true, is also, unfortunately, a summary description of the internet.
Yeah, true in many regards. People often talk about stuff when they've got a mask on, because you don't know who they are.
Yeah, incredibly irritating. And while I do it in a very literal sense in real life, unfortunately there are a lot of people who will tell you the, in quotation marks, truth, which translates to, hey, I know that you can't find out who I am or where I live, so I'm going to be an unreasonable cockbend to you for no reason other than it makes me feel big after my daddy kicked me in the shins when I was little.
Leon?
I'll come back to that one. Gotta scratch my mind and try and...
Fair enough. Well, I move through sayings like the plague. I mean, I get it. I'm the kind of person that likes a little bit of hilarity to what I enjoy. And at the moment, much to Wheatley's demise, it is 20% cooler.
Yeah, I will kick you in the shins one of these days.
Yeah, you can't find me. I like your little previous comment before.
Yeah, I've honestly never considered it to be an excuse to troll people. I know.
Anyway. I mean, you lower yourself. You're basically below a human being if you do that. But anyway, that's something for another time.
I'll probably I'll answer Matt that one on the forum, since I honestly can't think up one off the top of my head.
Well, it kind of defeats the purpose if it's not a memorable enough quote for you to remember it now.
Yes, but that's more to do with the hour of the day than anything else.
That's right. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions, are there?
Not that we've already haven't asked, no.
Indeed. So, Mr. Luffy, have you got an answer for Death's Riddle yet?
I've got several answers I've been mulling that over, actually.
Uh-huh.
And I have heard this one before. The most common answer is the hiccups.
Yeah, that's also the correct answer.
Ah, okay, well, there you go. I got it right off the bat first go.
Yep. And good times were had by all.
Hiccup! Oh. Please don't show me a picture of Umbrella Man again. I'll get scared. Before we wrap things up, I thought this was hilarious enough to include in this week's show. A real life friend of mine was down, like he had to drive to a town that was about half an hour away to do his job, which is in his line of work, handing out notices to people. And he purposely pulled over when he saw this to take a picture of it for me.
Oh.
Which I think is very cool. Look at the name of that shop.
Let's take a look-see here. Oh, gee, I wonder why he posted that to you.
The shop is called Pinkerton Place.
Oh, dear.
And guess what? It's on a corner.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, nice. Sugar Cube Corner. I see what you did there. You know what I've been chuckling about quite a lot this week. Let me find this picture.
We better make it quick, so we'll finish up soon.
Yeah, this will be the last one that I sent to you personally. This is a summary description of me whenever I'm playing Spy on Team Fortress 2. Take a look at that.
Alright, at last, my level 3 sentry is complete. Wow! Wow, why would you do that?
I will destroy everything you know and love.
But I love you.
Oh. No, you don't, you liar.
Yes, I do. Can you destroy yourself now, please?
No.
Anyway.
Besides, let's be honest, he says no and love.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyway, anything else you wish to comment on, Leon?
Look at the time.
Fair enough.
We'll cover the weekly updates, the Gamer Insight, and the Mad Chatters table next week, because no doubt by then this insanely huge TF2 update will have come out, and let's face it, that's all anyone's going to want to hear about. So we'll be able to talk more about that next week.
So if you want to know what it was, you can read the Google document for yourself, which will be in the YouTube link down below.
Hooray!
Anyway, this is the Master of Sanity Loopy Legend, and his wonderful co-host,
Professor Wheatley!
Dr. Wheatley, damn you!
Don't you know, I'm a professor ever since I graduated from Descendants of Prometheus.
You can graduate from Descendants of Prometheus?
Well, technically, in the sense that you stop being a slave in the mines, and then you actually get to move up and be a full descendant, as opposed to just a probie. In my case, it's basically just because the name, the clan tag took up a certain number of spaces, and when you graduate, you remove 2 of the brackets. So I had two extra digits in my name that I could use, so I upgraded myself from a doctor to a professor.
Great. We're never going to hear the end of it. Anyway, thank you again to our special guest, Darlene, for coming on and finally clearing up all the rumours about the Crate system.
Yes, thanks very much, sir.
My pleasure.
We'll have you back anytime you can take another dose of insanity, which will probably be, in your case, another 3 months, you reckon?
Yeah, I need that long to recuperate.
Yeah, exactly. We're that insane around here. We're not called the Mad Chatters for nothing.
I think there's where are we that insane? I think it's just you, Loopy.
No, ask Wheatley. He's just as insane as me, isn't he?
Well, I don't know. I've always been a firm believer that the insane people are the ones who claim to be sane.
Exactly.
Huh?
What?
I didn't say nothing.
Oh, I'm gonna mull you over that one later. Don't worry. Anyway, we'll catch you next week, folks. Sorry for the prolonged episode, but we had some issues getting all 3 of us together for a suitable time. So hopefully we'll be on time next week. And have yourselves a good night. See you guys.
Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.